Yo, what's going on guys? Today we're going to be doing an educational video explaining the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure event and also completing it traitless with only study traits and the free Exodia. I have S stats on all of the damaging units and then also Vivian, but you probably don't need that. And this is the team. For artifacts on Casterus, we have the Dual Blade, which will just give her more crit. And you do not need any artifacts for anyone else because the only easy ones that you can get won't make too much of a difference. But the crit, the extra 20% crit chance, is quite helpful. So definitely get that. If you don't know where that's from, this Rukia shop right here. If you go on artifacts, it's 10,000 gems, which if you're doing the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure raid, you're going to have 10,000 gems. So that's why I included it. It's not too hard to get, and the NPC's right here next to summons if you don't know where it is. I'll quickly include this just in case you weren't aware, but the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure event drops 5 of all the craft items, which is these two, which are for Pucci, the cane, the scarf, and this thing for Wonder View, and then the ribcage and flag for Valentine. So I'll quickly pop pictures on the screen for the materials for each of them. But Pucci, he needs 30 of these and then 50 of the discs, and he's the only one that needs 50. So you do need to do 10 runs if you want to get Pucci, but if you just want Valentine, you do just 6 runs and you'll be fine. Let's go. Okay. There are a couple of things that you need to know about this event before you play it, and that is number one, there's an NPC here, this Johnny NPC next to the campfire. He has modifiers that you can buy, which will help you. And I'll show a picture on the screen of what your modifier should look like by the end of the game for if you bought the right ones. And the other thing is that there are two paths here. This one over here, you can see there's a lot of curves and it's a lot longer than the path over here. And that actually hurts you kind of if the final boss, because the way that works is there's two bosses that spawn early on waves like 13, 40, and they'll just disappear. You don't need to kill them. But the final boss on wave 100 does kill you, so you do need to actually kill him. And if he spawns on the shorter side, it's going to be more difficult to kill him. You want to focus most of your units on the left side just in case you do get him to spawn on that side, because it is random. Like, I've had runs where the boss spawned on the left all 3 times, and then it'll spawn the left, the right, or the left, and the right, and then the right. So you just need to watch out. And you should be prioritizing the Saya modifier because your units, whenever they attack, every time they attack, they will gain damage. You can see there the attack will go up. It's at 125, and once it attacks, 126.6. And the more stacks you buy, you'll add up by 0.8% every single time. And you should prioritize this right up until wave 95, which is the last wave that you can actually buy modifiers. So you just want to be building this up as much as you can. And when I've played it, the best success I've had has been when I play just Castress to solo everything, and then these units over here. But here's the first boss. I'll quickly show. If you place these both down, set them both to strongest targeting. Once they have done their 10% attack or passive, the boss should half its HP. If they do their passive, it should go down to 500 million instead of 1 billion. There we go, 500 million. And that's from this passive, 10% chance to inflict Flower Curse, doubling the loss of the enemy's max HP, which just means it halves its health. So now that we've got all of our units placed, which is the 2 Castress, the 2 Megaman, and the 3 Exodia, we just want to keep buying Saya up until the last waves where we can afford it. And we also want to be watching out for the bosses that spawn, because if you just sit in the shop, see how it covers. I mean, it's gone now, but when the boss health was there, when you're in the shop, it covers it. I'll go in the shop whenever it gets to the nighttime, which is when the shop opens. You can only buy modifiers when it gets to nighttime, right there. We bought that. But you only need to be watching around wave 50 and 40, because that's when the bosses spawn early. But after you've done those, because you do need to make sure you half them. If you don't half them, then the final boss will have too much health and you'll just lose and you'll need traits for that. So to do it traitless, you do need to get every single boss halved. Now I'll just skip forwards a little bit until the next boss spawns and I halve their health. Let's go. Really quickly, I'll mention the reason you don't want to buy these other ones early is because Saya, it builds up over time. Both of these, if you just buy it, it'll instantly be applied. So the 5% damage, SPA range, crit chance, it'll all just be applied instantly. So there's no point in buying it early as long as you're surviving. If you start struggling, you could buy it, but I'm not going to struggle, so I'm just going to keep buying Saya. Here's the boss though. So I'll quickly, okay, we don't have to even move our Vivians. If the boss does spawn on the other side, you're obviously going to need to move your Vivians over. But if it stays on the same side, that's fine, you can just leave it. And it should go down to 250 million now. I'll speed up until that happens. There we go, 250 million. Now we can just keep buying Saya Modifier. It turns nighttime every 10 waves on the 5th wave, so like 25 it'll turn nighttime, 35 it'll turn nighttime, but at some point it starts just doing it every 5 waves, so the 70 turns nighttime, 75, 80. I'll speed up until we get to the final boss now. Let's go. As you can see, we bought all the modifiers there on wave 95 because that's the final wave that it turns nighttime. So if you have any money left, just make sure you buy as much of this one as you can, and then any spare money, just spend on this one. And now we just wait for the boss to spawn. If the Vivians are on the wrong side, we will need to move them. So here we go. Let's move our Vivians over as quickly as we can, set them to strongest, because we want this to half itself as soon as possible. And we're also going to set all of our units to strongest so that we are doing as much damage as fast as we can. You might need to get a little bit lucky with the Vivian actually halving the boss's health sooner, because if it takes too long, it's just going to run out of range and then we just wasted all of our damage. Because if you didn't know, right there, you saw, it kind of healed because, I mean, I guess it didn't heal because it was already above 120 million. But when Vivian applies her passive, she takes their like total health and then she'll replace that total health with half. So if they have 10 health and then you do 8 damage and they're 2 health and Vivian hits her attack, it'll put it to 5 HP because that's half of 10, not half of 2. We're slowly going to DPS down here, and now that he's out of range, we'll move him downwards so that he can help, or continue helping. Set to strongest just in case anything gets in the way. Megaman's still attacking. Castris now should be attacking. We'll set these to strongest. And now it's just waiting for this to be DPS down. It will go pretty fast because of all the crit that all these units have from the first modifier being applied. So you can see we just killed there. And now I'll just skip until this is over and you can see we won. Let's go. I should mention, when you replace your units, they're going to lose all of their Saya modifier. So you do kind of need to keep your units in one place. You can't just move them around to follow the boss, which is why we had the Castris placed up here. Because if the boss spawns on this side, it's going to be much easier anyways. We don't need fully stacked Saya. And by the end, let me show, 680%. And the percent, it takes the percent of their base damage. So if their base damage is 100 and then you add 1%, they get 1 extra damage. So 100k, you get an extra 1000 damage. But you can see we won here, and that will be the end of the guide. I'll quickly say though, if your final boss spawns on the right, it's going to be easy, left, hard. So lock in if it's on the left, and if it's on the right, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, that's the guide. Goodbye.